Episode 2 of the Ironside Pilates podcast series, Why Classically Trained Pilates Instructors Instruct the Way That They Do. In a studio with room for 5 clients or 25 clients, you, as a client, are there to get the most out of your own personal exercise session. You're not there to see what the instructor can do. The instructor is there to guide you through the exercises in a way which is meant to give you control and awareness of your body. The instructor gives you directives needed for you to concentrate on while you try to do movements asked for in the exercise at hand and throughout the session. And that alone is a big part of getting a great workout. Anything in excess is never good. It is the same when it comes to Pilates. Imagine a full-time working Pilates instructor doing exercises along with the clients. In many cases, that means roughly 8 hours of Pilates, 5 days a week. It would be very unhealthy if manageable. Being a Pilates instructor is just like any other profession. You probably both like to work and have to work for a significant number of years. Being a guide, director, and corrector is the best protection for clients and for you. Not only will you be able to correct your clients, you will also be able to stop them if you see that they might be in danger of hurting themselves. Would you be quick enough up from off of the floor and your own exercise to rush over to stop a client having an incorrect position, which could end up injuring them? You're better off being on your feet. Pilates, in particular, is in part a corrective workout system, which means that correct positioning is very important in order to achieve the intended result in every exercise. For the clients, having to raise and turn their head to look at the instructor up front, to the right or to the left of them, just to see how the position should be, would wear their neck muscles out before they had gotten strengthened, which in itself is the opposite effect of what Pilates should give clients. Why do we individually respond so differently to workout? Isn't the feeling of muscles getting tired the same for everybody? To answer that question, we have to look at the combination of 4 reasons for why the human body responds so differently regarding muscle tiredness from workout. The first reason is that the individual in question has no or very little experience from exercising, as we all do when we start. We all need more or less time to understand how to use the exercise technique to the extent that we get the closest related body parts to further flex the muscles we firsthand want to flex and make stronger. That technique is the same in any type of exercise form and in any separate single exercise. That is a learning by doing issue. It takes a lot of practice to get to know that technique, especially if we have not exercised before. But even if you have got prior experience, it takes extra technique focus when you, for various reasons, aim to more drastically increase muscle mass or increase agility and mobility. On the other hand, letting it take the time for that technique and muscle engagement to settle will save you a lot of agony. You're going to avoid injuries thanks to your time of Pilates discovery. And with that time spent, you will be able to control and use your muscles in such a wider spectrum of engaged movement that it will be all worth it. The second reason is that tiredness feels exactly like pain. Pain is something frightening and uncomfortable. It is synonymous to something negative, something we should not feel. The pain that the individual feels when exercising is not real. What it is a result of the natural process of the blood in the muscles losing oxygen. When the level of oxygen is very low in the muscles, they become stiff, tight, and difficult to move. There's also the build-up at the same time of lactic acid, which naturally happens when the blood is losing oxygen, in this case because of extended physical activity. It is a natural result of using one's muscles properly. It can absolutely feel the same as pure pain, but it is perfectly harmless as long as we are not forcing ourselves to carry on through the state of feeling as if we can't move. At that state, we should stop and rest. However, it is difficult to accomplish and difficult to deal with. That is exercise. The third reason is the length relation between parts of the body. If a person, in relation to how long their back is, has short legs, then that person is likely to feel less tired doing stomach exercises lying on their back, lowering and lifting their legs. The reason is that the weight of the legs that their upper body has to carry is lighter for their upper body and less stressful on their upper body. If a person, in relation to how long their back is, instead has long legs, then that person is likely to feel more tired doing stomach exercises lying on their back, lowering and lifting their legs. The weight of the longer legs that their upper body has to carry is making it heavier for their upper body and more stressful on their upper body. It is the same looking at the relation between length of arms and length of upper body when lying on the stomach doing arm raises, for example. In both of these cases, it is all part of exercising. It takes a lot of practice to get to know the technique. That also brings with it that one has to look to only oneself, because only you feel the workout that way. The fourth and final reason is injury. If the individual has an injury which in some way affects their ability to move or to use their muscles, the injured area is what they're going to feel from the exercise. That is because the body is already working harder there in order to heal it, or to make sure the injury does not get worse. When the individual then does exercise, the body works double, both where the injury is and also the targeted muscles. Since the injured area is not completely healed, it requires more blood to circulate there, and that is part of what makes it more sensitive, but also part of what heals it. Nerve signals are being sent quicker and more frequently to and through the injured area as well, for the same reasons. It's also a contributing factor to why the individual feels practically only that injured area. However, controlled and carefully performed exercises or movements will, with some time given, correct the body and the injury be healed sooner than if no exercise or controlled, organized movement were performed. Exercises correct the imbalances and make the body evenly balanced and pain-free. What all these four reasons have in common is that persistence prepares for progression and permanent development of muscles' capabilities. Injury rehabilitation and prevention, pain, stiffness, tightness, etc., makes us reluctant to move the injured part of our body. We might be capable of moving the injured part to some extent. We might be able to move the injured part to a minimal extent. However small the movement might be, as long as there is microscopic movement being performed by the injured part, we're capable of rebuilding, improving, and restoring movement and strength back to normal, or very close to normal, or close enough to normal. To commit and gather strength and courage enough to perform the actions, movements, and exercises that are needed to achieve the rebuild, however, is not easy. It is equally tough and challenging as any workout performed by any athlete at normal state. That should be taken into the aspect of coming back from an injury or disability. One should try to see it that way. It could be the difference maker between giving up and keeping going and completely rebuilding and recovering. Regularly performed body self-controlled exercises forces you to learn how to use and not to use positions for certain movements. If you're getting used to creating a self-engaged muscle resistance, such as the ones in Pilates, you're more aware of when something is wrong. The resistance is not there, and you can feel that, more so than individuals who never have used their muscles in that self-engaging way. You're more likely to prevent something wrong from happening. You're more likely to prevent injury that way. Fitness. What is fitness? What the word fitness itself means is how well something or someone fits together with something or someone else. In relation to exercise, that is how well prepared the body is for the lifestyle someone has or physical activity that someone performs. In other words, the level of fitness is always individual, even if people are together preparing for or are prepared for that lifestyle that they have or physical activity that they are about to perform. Think of it like this. Just as it is near impossible to get our body perfectly aligned and live life perfectly pain-free, it is as near impossible that two people would have the same level of fitness at any given time in life. With that in mind, people who are exercising to gain fitness are doing so starting at slightly or very different levels of fitness. Therefore, we all need more or less individually targeted exercise programs. One way of looking at this is that if a group of 10 people prepared exactly the same way, doing the exact same exercises, they would each of them gain fitness in accordance to their bad habits and favorable compensating muscles. So each and every one of us can aim at the same goal, at the same gain, at the same result of fitness, but there will always be a difference, and the differences could be compared, but we will never be equally fit. And that's how we perform sports, for example. Goals for you. Bodyweight workouts such as Pilates allows you to target the exact muscles and the exact movements to get you to the goal you want to reach. How and why is that? Because you do not use any external weights except for structural guidance and correction from bands, springs, or frames from various apparatuses. You constantly have the opportunity to flex and work the exact muscles that you want to exercise. And that is true in each and every single one of the Pilates exercises. You can, for example, spend an entire hour-long workout session to concentrate on getting your backside muscles of your thighs, hamstrings, all the possible workout It is difficult to accomplish keeping the concentration up through certain segments of the Pilates workout session because you are the one that has to flex and engage your intended muscles every time you perform any exercises. But you can also spread your workout out over a larger number of muscle areas or muscle groups. Perhaps you would like to concentrate your workout session on shoulders and stomach muscles, abdominals. In that case, you focus every single one of the exercises, or most of them, on targeting abdominals and the shoulder muscle area. All this means that you always have got the opportunity to get to your goal while being sure that your body is getting a correct position workout everywhere else needed for a safe workout development. But it is still you yourself that always have to keep concentrating on using enough energy for the intended muscle or muscles to become tired. No external weights do it for you. You have to control them as well to get to a maximum that you want to reach. Maintaining performance level and development. What you do in your Pilates workout today, you should be able to do a little bit more of that tomorrow. More is not a larger number of repetitions of each exercise. More is to be able to refine the performance and the execution of each exercise you have done before. Tomorrow, you should improve your quality of the Pilates exercises and your workout. Your technique should make you get more tired from doing fewer repetitions of each exercise. Control the resistance. Control the weights. That should be accomplished by a mix of positioning yourself correctly throughout a larger number of exercises. Moving slower through each more challenging phase of each exercise. Flexing and engaging the targeted muscles deeper and more constantly, and getting your breathing to feel as an assistant throughout the workout session. Basically, breathe out when you're making the most effort, and breathe in when you're preparing for that most effort. Achieving that more and more each day means that you are maintaining performance level and development. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of the Ironside Pilates podcast series, From a Pilates Perspective, What is Well-Being, Exercising and Fitness? Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook.